Just a few weeks ago on the show, we discussed the exciting news by telecoms regulator ICASA that they had begun the process of auctioning off spectrum that would see the country's industry move into the digital age. But there are some squabbles, it appears, between ICASA and the Department of Telecommunications, with the minister threatening to take them to court if they go ahead with this auction. The editor of Tech Central is Duncan McLeod, who joins us to tell us a bit more about these developments. Duncan? Pleasure to have you with us.
Good to be here, thank you.
The last time we were looking at the technicalities of how this auction is going to work, who will be doing what and so on, and Minister says, not so fast to ICASA. But what I find even more interesting is that ICASA will fall under his department, that now he's taking this agency, it appears, to court, telling me that the two parties are actually talking past each other or are not talking at all. What is going on with this latest confusion?
Very little communication going on here. Of course, ICASA reports into Faith Matambi at the Department of Communications. Okay. After the 2014 election, the department was split in two.
Okay, yes.
So ICASA now reports into communications, even though a lot of the work that it does is related to the stuff that the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services does. But it's a very interesting story. It's a very worrying story. So ICASA put out an invitation to apply to operators interested in participating in a spectrum auction process. Now, this is the way that regulators all over the Western world have allocated spectrum for 4G LTE, which is the next generation broadband infrastructure the operators are busy rolling out. So it's a best practice way of doing it. It ensures that the companies with the balance sheets that can roll out these sort of networks are the ones that actually get the access to the spectrum. Now, the government's got a very different view on how the spectrum should be allocated, and that's contained in a draft ICT policy white paper, which hasn't been made public yet, but it has been circulated in government, apparently to some of the operators and to ICASA. And this white paper, what it says is that we're going to create, what government wants to do is create a single wholesale open access mobile network in which MTN, Vodacom, Cell C, Telkom, and all other interested parties will participate as shareholders and put equity into that business to build a single national network. The big operators are up in arms over this. They say this is not the right way to do this, particularly as we are halfway through a technology generation, 4G.
But why would they be opposed to that approach?
They say that infrastructure competition is the best way to go, and that if we were to go this route, it would effectively be creating another infrastructure monopoly akin to what we had in the old days of Telkom. The Minister, Wele, says that this is not the case because they'll all be shareholders in this. It won't be one single entity, and they'll all be able to compete at a services layer, and it would allow new entrants who wouldn't be able to take part in an auction process because it's too rich for them to participate. So they say it'll bring new entrants into the market and allow for greater competition. The trouble with this model is it's untested. There are only a couple of markets in the world that have tried similar things. The minister spoke to me recently in an interview about Rwanda. He spent some time up there during the recent World Economic Forum, and he spoke highly of the Rwandan model, where they've apparently created a single operator. I've started doing some research there, and there seems to be some complaints from the other operators there about the high prices associated with the single infrastructure provider. So it's not clear that the Rwandan model has worked all that well. The other model that the government seems to be keen on is the Mexican model, where they've done something similar. But Mexico traditionally has had very high telecommunications prices, so I'm not sure it's a market that we should really be looking at as an example of the best practice of what we should be doing in this industry to bring down prices. Now, what the government's worried about is they want to bring down broadband prices. They want to make it cheaper to get into it.
Here's the point. I mean, what then is informing ICASA's approach in comparison to the minister is explaining himself, but what's making ICASA insist that it's going to go ahead with their approach to this thing?
No, I don't know the full answer to that question. I would love to know the full answer to that question. There's no doubt that ICASA in the past has never done anything without political backing. So they've broken ranks here. The question is, why have they broken ranks, and where are they getting political support from to do this? Apparently there are elements inside National Treasury who are very keen on this, and that's not surprising because the auction route would raise a huge amount of money for the national fiscus. There are 4 lots of spectrum that ICASA has proposed being made available as part of this auction process. And the reserve price for each lot of spectrum just to participate is 3 billion rand. So you multiply that by 4, you've got 12 billion rand at a minimum. My sources say that people inside National Treasury have calculated that they'll make at least 20 billion rand through this auction process. And given the current state of the economy and tax receipts through SARS, which are under pressure, you know, this 20 billion rand is not to be sneezed at. It would go a long way in plugging some gaps.
And I'm imagining as well that, you know, what about the public hearings that normally would be held when a serious policy decision of this nature is about to be taken, that all the role players, stakeholders, interested parties should make their inputs as to how they'd like things to happen?
Well, the industry is arguing that that actually does need to happen. I mean, I had a conversation with Andile Ngcaba, who's the chairman of Dimension Data and Convergence Partners recently, and he said absolutely that's what needs to happen. The industry can ill afford the regulator and the policymaker being at loggerheads like this. You know, could get tied up in court for 3 or 4 years if it goes all the way through to the Constitutional Court. And he and other players in the industry are saying it's urgent that people get around a table and discuss this issue.
The sense you're getting from them is what direction do they want to take, you think?
Who, the policymaker?
No, not the policy, but the industry itself.
I think the industry wants resolution on this as soon as possible. I mean,
But do they have a preferred way on how to manage this?
No, they don't. I think the smaller players are somewhat in favour of the government's take on this, the minister's view on this. The big operators, and arguably the ones who've got the money to roll out the networks, companies like MTN and Vodacom, Cell C to some extent as well. Telkom's been very quiet in this process. Certainly, Telkom and MTN have said, let's go for a spectrum auction. It's the best way of doing this. Of course, they would do that because they've got the pockets to participate.
But the implications of the delay, you know, over the squabble, what are those? And is there any possibility that the technology can bypass this delay and then we end up with something else? And, if you will, a missed opportunity from Treasury's point of view of raising the money?
I wish there was a way of the technology bypassing us, be able to leapfrog this, but the spectrum is the basis for doing all of this stuff and rolling out these networks. So it absolutely has to be allocated. The other side of the coin here is the digital migration project, which you and I have spoken about many times in the past. The broadcasters are still sitting on the spectrum that the operators need, that the regulator wants to allocate as part of the spectrum auction. So we need to finish that digital migration project, which hasn't even started yet. We haven't started the due
diligence. It should have happened last year, I suppose.
Years ago already, I mean, that was the ITU deadline, but it should have happened even before that. And it looks like the broadcasters are going to be sitting on that spectrum for at least another 2 or 3 years at a minimum. And it's a big problem for the industry. So, you know, the worry in the industry now is that this squabble, this fight between the minister and ICASA in the courts could turn into another digital migration mess. And the industry can ill afford that. Industry plays an important role in the economy. There's been tons of research done that shows there's a direct correlation between getting broadband in the hands of consumers and economic growth, GDP growth. It's a direct correlation that organizations like the World Bank have shown in report after report. So not doing this, not getting cheaper broadband in consumers' hands, there's a huge lost opportunity for our economy.
Well, let's talk about money now, and MultiChoice or Naspers is continuing to make money, it appears. The share price shooting through the roof. And what is the value of the price at this time, and where are they making money?
Well, it shot through 2,500 rand a share. It's really quite rich. 2,500 rand to buy one Naspers share. It's getting expensive. But it's all on the back of Tencent, of course, this company in China, in which they own a 34% stake. Tencent, which owns WeChat, the communications platform, and a whole lot of internet businesses in China. It's in essence like the Google of China. And Naspers fortuitously bought a 1/3 stake in the business about, I think, 10, 15 years ago now. And just in the last 10 days or so, Tencent has overtaken China Mobile to become the most valuable company in China, market cap in dollar terms of about $255 billion.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's translated directly into the performance of the Naspers share price.
But just to compare it, what is Apple's size now?
Well, Apple's bigger. Apple is the biggest company in the world by market value. They're sitting at about $620 billion, if I recall correctly.
Right. But anyway, in terms of the Chinese economy, Tencent would be the biggest.
Yeah.
And talking about Apple, they've just launched new products now.
They have indeed. They've launched a new watch, the the Apple Watch Series 2. The biggest change over the first edition of the watch is that it now contains a GPS chip, which was a big, factor limiting it in the past. So it can now be used to more accurately track your running, for example, or your swimming. It's waterproof as well for the first time. So big improvements in the device. They didn't say anything during the keynote launch about battery life, because GPS can draw more on the battery. So interesting to see what the reviews say about the battery performance. And then the iPhone 7, which is obviously the latest iteration of the iPhone. And controversially, Apple has decided to drop the 3.5 millimeter analog audio jack from the phone. So if you want to listen to music with headphones now, you're either going to have to shell out for a pair of wireless headphones, or you're going to have to use an adapter that will connect to the iPhone's proprietary Lightning port.
Okay, so you just be buying additional Apple accessories, so to speak.
They're going to include the accessory in the box. If you lose it, it's going to cost you $9 to replace, so about 130 Rand or so. But it's a controversial move because the analog 3.5 millimeter audio jack is on every phone on the planet basically, and it's become a standard. And it's been a standard for many, many decades. And the decision to drop it is controversial. Critics of Apple say that they're simply doing it so that they can sell more accessories. They bought a headphone company called Beats. I think it was last year, and Beats has come up with some wireless headphones that go very nicely with these iPhone 7 devices. Thank you very much. So there's some criticism that that this is a profit-making move by Apple rather than in the interests of its customers. Some Apple fans are saying it's about time they dropped this thing. It's been around for 100 years. It's time we moved on to something new.
Well, that's the business of technology with Duncan McLeod, the editor of Tech Central. Always a pleasure talking to you, Duncan.
Thank you, Tim.
And of course, helping us make sense of some of the confusing developments within the technology space, especially on the policy front. And one wonders where the country is headed to, but we hope that sanity will prevail in due time and that the telecoms department as well as ICASA will find each other and come up with a solution soon.